Welcome back to Swordman Josh Gaming, and we haven't done a deck tech in a while, so figured we would knock one out. It looks like a lot of people are enjoying the EDH Commander Pauper deck techs, so I got another one for you. We are going to be doing Slippery Bogle. Nice little Simic guy. He's hexproof. A lot of people have trouble dealing with hexproof because there's not the same kind of mass removal in Pauper level as there is in regular commanders. So the hexproof almost makes it so that way he's there to stay. There's very few things like a pestilence can remove him, or a diabolic edict if you don't have other creatures, or something that targets a player. So this is actually has been a very strong commander deck, especially in 1v1. In a three-player pod, it's also been very strong, and I haven't got a chance to play this deck in a four-player pod. But as per normal, I've broken this down into multiple different parts, and we're going to go ahead and go through those parts now, knowing that hexproof, for those of you that don't know, means that you can target it, but your opponents can't. So this is a Voltron Commander build, and I've broken this down into 5 different parts. We have our creature base, we have our card advantage, we have these are enchantments slash creatures, and then our enchantments that we're going to go through. So the whole point is to kill your opponent with commander damage, as is all Voltron Commander builds. So let's get into it. We'll put Mr. Bogle right over here, and then of course we have our land base. So our creatures that we're running, the first couple here are land ramp. So most of the time, unless if you're playing in a weird pod, it's going to be land Bogle turn 1, and then you start buffing him. But as the game goes on, you'll need more and more mana to get those out, especially with the amount of card draw we have in this deck. So first we're running Sakura Tribe Elder. It's a commander staple for both Pauper and for regular commander. Makes it great for a chump blocker, and then you can just sack him to go get a basic land. Perfect card. We're running Elvish Mystic, just a mana dork, and his brother, Land and War Elves, another mana dork. We'll set these guys down here. We're running, in case something happens to your Bogle, or you're having trouble getting him through, we are running Selhana Ledgewalker, and there are some enchantments that go good on her as well. There's an enchantment that you could put on here and make it so that way whenever she deals damage to an opponent, you draw a card. So this is all about card advantage and just keeping things going. But she also has hexproof, though it's wrote out in the old language that it can't be the target of spells or abilities your opponent controls, which is exactly what hexproof is. But with the bonus effect that she can't be blocked except by creatures with flying. So if your opponent's not playing flying creatures, she gets through for free every single time. Card draw. And creatures, we are running an Elvish Visionary just because it makes for a great chump blocker, and it's almost basically like a cantrip because it replaces itself. And it's just a good chump blocker, and it helps with edict effects, so that way you don't lose your Bogle. More card draw creatures. We are running Scroll Thief. When it deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. It's a 1/3, so it's got a decent sized butt for a blocker, but it's really there for the card draw, and we have ways of making Scroll Thief unblockable. Same thing goes for Stealer of Secrets. Whenever it deals damage to a player, draw a card. It's a 2/2 instead of a 1/3. Does the same exact thing. And then, of course, we're running Jesse and Thief to go with it. So, multiple creatures. This one has prowess, so that can get you through a little bit easier. Sorry, I got an itch on my arm. But it does the same exact thing. When it deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. It's 1/3 with prowess. It's probably, in my opinion, the best of the 3 blue ones, but that's okay. We have a couple of Death Touchers, just because they make great walls. This one makes a great combat trick. I've found that I absolutely love playing this at Pauper level, especially since Ulamog's Crusher seems to be the Pauper staple of just trying to annihilate things, and this takes down an Ulamog's Crusher as a combat trick. Absolutely love this card. I wish I could get more people to play Pauper EDH, and they would love this card just as much. So it's got flash. This is 2/1 with Death Touch. It will take down anything except for first strikers or double strikers coming at you. It's a great surprise trick. Not a surprise, but a Death Toucher that's cheap is Sedge Scorpion, 1/1 Death Touch. Again, these are just nice low drops to put out with your Bogle in case you get Edict. The biggest boy in here, I believe, mana cost wise, is Floodtide Serpent. And it can't attack unless you return an enchantment you control to its owner's hand, which is fine and dandy. This creates some card advantage because there are a couple of enchantments that when they come into play, you draw a card. So if you go into a later game and you want to be able to attack with Floodtide Serpent, you can just bounce that, replay it, and draw another card. So you get more card advantage out of it. I've only ever ended up having a game go late enough where I had to use that once. Most of the time these games are over pretty quick. So mana filtering. I got, I believe, only one in here for a mana filter. Because it's not really needed much. As you've noticed, we don't really have anything that's like double green or double blue. Don't really know that there's much in here that's... I don't think there's anything in here that's double green or double blue, but sometimes you just need a mana filter. So for green mana, you can add 1 mana of any color. So you can change your green mana into whatever you want. I don't know if this has an effect with anything else at the Pauper level where somebody can steal your stuff, or there's the Eyes Everywhere, but that's an uncommon, I believe, where they steal your stuff and give you the Eyes Everywhere. We're playing blue, so that wouldn't be a problem, but in other decks it could be. So Orochi Leaf Collar, it just lets you filter for whatever color you want. To go along with keeping ourselves alive in case we need to swing out, we have the good old Spore Frog. He's basically a fog on a creature, so I like this better than running fog in case we get those Diabolic Edict effects. So just sack him and prevent all combat damage this turn. Allows you to do that last swing out. If you got a 2-turn clock on somebody with your Bogle, it allows you to swing out with him on the board, and then you won't die to the crackback. It also makes it so that way you can win multiplayer games easier because you don't die on the crackback from somebody else when you're tapped down. We are running a Ninja. Like I said, we have some cards in here that make our creatures unblockable. So he's a token creator. Whenever he deals combat damage to a player, create a 1/1 blue illusion creature token with flying. He's a 3/2 and he can ninjutsu out. It's just a good way if you go into a longer, grindier game to make him unblockable and then just be able to start chumping out blockers every single turn. It's better in a pod than it is on 1v1. I actually don't play this card in 1v1 even if it's in my hand. There's just really no reason to. Artifact and enchantment removal, we are running one. And we are running a couple of creature removal, but we are running one artifact enchantment removal. Being since our commander is hexproof, it's not really that big of a deal for us to remove enchantments. We can't get our commander put to sleep, sleep paralysis, or pacified or anything like that because he has hexproof. So we are actually really only running one. It's works against our opponents, and it's just a great little card to put in here also for edict effects. Now some boys here that can get big once you get into the later game. Our first one is the Aura Gnarlid. Creatures with power less than it can't block. Alright, fine. That doesn't really matter. The big thing is it gets +1/+1 for each aura on the battlefield, and since we are playing a enchant creature aura Voltron build, he can get big quick. Same thing goes with the Yavimaya Enchantress. She does the same exact thing. She gets +1/+1 for each enchantment on the battlefield. We're not running, I don't think we're running any regular, well, we're running 2 regular enchantments, so she can actually get 2 bigger than the Gnarlid because he's only for auras, and the Yavimaya Enchantress is for all enchantments. And one of the ways that we can make our creatures unblockable is with Pass Wall Adept. And you just tap mana into it. He doesn't even tap, so you can make multiple creatures unblockable. And there you go. You can get your card draw, you can get your commander through, you can do anything you want to. So, including our commander, right now it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 creatures, but we have a couple other over in this category, which I'm going to go over next, for extra creatures. Again, I'm running as many creatures as I need to. I think I have a fair balance between the enchantments and the creatures and the draw. I just draw out from my opponent. So there are 5 creatures in here. 4 of them are bestow, so they count as enchantments, and then when they fall off, they become creatures, or you can cast them for their creature cost. And I have 1 soulbound, which is Trusted Force Mage. And you just pair it with any creature you want to, and as long as Trusted Force Mage is in play, each of them get +1/+1. So for 3 mana, this is a 3/3, and gives +1/+1 to another creature, which would typically be your commander. So, great little card. For 3 mana for a 3/3, it's not bad, even if you can't soulbind it to another creature because you don't have another one out. So, oh, excuse me, it would be a 2/2 for 3 if it's not soulbound. It's a 3/3 for 3 if it is soulbound. So the 4 other creatures we have here that are bestowed is we have Leaf Crown Dryad. Enchanted creature gets +2/+2 and has reach. Since this is an aggro deck, the reach really doesn't matter. It has really only in about 1 game I think I've played, maybe 2, where I had a double striking flying commander coming at me, and it managed to block that. So you can either play this as an enchantment, or you can play it as a creature. If it's a creature, it's just a 2/2 reacher for 2 mana. Not bad. It's a bear. Our next one is Nyxborn Wolf. So the bestow on this one's a little heftier. It's 5 mana for the bestow, and enchanted creature just gets +3/+1. And it's a 3/1 wolf without the bestow. A little bit of evasion with this one, in case we need to fly over. Nimbus Naiad, again, it's a pretty hefty bestow cost for a blue and 4, but enchanted creature gets +2/+2 and has flying, or for 3 mana, this just creates a 2/2 flyer for you to block with. And last but not least is Nyxborn Triton. Again, the bestow cost is so steep on these, but if you land them, they're great. If you don't, then the creatures are wonderful as well. A blue and 4 colorless enchanted creature gets +2/+3. So that adds 5 more creatures to our base. And then let's go into... I'm going to save the enchantments for last. We want to go into our card draw next. So I'm going to stack these guys up here. Stack these guys up here. So we already saw quite a few card draw cards. But this is the rest of our card draw, card selection suite. Allows us to get through our deck, get our enchantments on our commander really quick, and finish the game out. So we were running Opt. Everybody knows Opt. Scry 1, draw a card for 1 blue. Great. We're running Divination, a blue and 2 colorless. Draw 2 cards. This is not all draw, but it's mostly draw. Some of our other sorceries are in here as well. So a blue and 2 colorless, draw 2 cards. Whispers of the Muse, blue and 5. It's a blue mana to draw a card, so you don't get the scry like you do with Opt, but if you're in late game, you do have the option of that buyback for 5, so you can draw. If you have nothing else to do with your mana, you can just draw cards. Next is Hieroglyphic Illumination, a blue and 3, so not quite the same rate as you would hope. Divination, of course, is better to draw 2 cards. However, you can just cycle this for 1 blue if it's towards the early part of the game and you are either in a mana patch or your mana screwed. Next is Winged Word, a blue and 2, but if you have a creature with flying, it's just a blue and a colorless to draw 2 cards. Everybody knows Brainstorm, card selection, and card draw for 1 card. Great card. Last Thoughts. This is one that I said you could put on the Ledge Walker to be able to draw cards. So it's a blue and 3 to draw a card. However, the bonus with this is the Cipher ability. So you exile this, but the ability goes onto a creature. That's what Cipher does. It's not something that I see a lot when I play other people, but I do like this ability. I have it in multiples of my decks, including my regular commander decks. So what it ends up doing is whenever that creature deals damage to a player, you just get to draw a card. So it's just card draw for every single time. So if you have an unblockable creature, cast Last Thoughts, draw a card, put it on it, attack with that creature, assuming it's unblockable or you can get through, you're drawing another card. So you're basically going to get, the turn you cast this, 2 cards for 4 mana. Then everything after that's gravy. We have Council of Soratami. Again, just like Divination, a blue and 2 to draw 2 cards. Peak. This is one that if you guys watched my Hermetic Crab EDH Pauper deck, you saw this card as well. It's become one of my blue Pauper pet cards. So look at target player's hand and draw a card. It's a cantrip, it replaces itself, but it lets you know what you're up against, especially if you're playing against a blue player who may be playing counterspell maybe. It lets you know if you're safe to go ahead and go out. Think twice. Same rate, blue and a colorless to draw a card with a flashback to be able to draw another card. And then we have a couple of fight cards. I told you we had a couple ways for creature removal. We're doing it this way since we are beefing up one commander. I figured fight cards would be the easiest way to do it. So this one is Epic Confrontation. Target creature you control gets +1/+2 until end of turn, and it fights target creature you don't control. So this is basically our single targeted removal in this deck. And we are running one other one, which is Prey Upon for green. Target creature you control fights target creature you don't control. It doesn't get the bonus, but that's okay. Those are our 2 creature removals in this deck, besides if they attack and we have the Death Touchers or the Ambush Viper or something like that. Next we have Hidden Strings. I told you I liked Cipher cards. So this allows us to swing out with our commander and then be able to have him right back to block. Makes it so that way we don't die to crackbacks quite so easy. So when you cast it, you can tap or untap target permanent. If we don't have an unblockable commander, this also makes it possible so that way our commander can get through easier. And after you tap or untap a target permanent, then you may untap another target permanent. So if you cast this, you can tap down 2 creatures of your opponents to be able to get through. Or you can use this to, you're going to use it to tap down 2 permanents of theirs when you cast it. Or if you have to untap 2 permanents of yours, if you need a mana dork or something like that. Probably not likely. But Cipher again. So we put this on an unblockable creature. We can swing in. We can do our damage. And then we can untap 2 of our creatures so that way we can be back on the defensive to block with them. Great card. Love it. I believe this... I run this in my Tetsuko deck and a couple other blue decks. I like this Cipher ability. So, unblockable. We're running Crypsis. Target creature you control gains protection from creatures your opponents control until end of turn, and then untap it. So, it's an instant speed. It just allows us to get in for a free attack. And to go along with that, we are running Slip Through Space. It's devoid, so it's actually has no color for this spell, but simply target creature can't be blocked this turn and draw a card, so it's a cantrip on top of it. So there's our card draw, card selection suite, our targeted removal, and our unblockable, at least 2 of them. We do have some more unblockable into the enchantment section, so let's go there now. I didn't know quite how to separate this, so it separated blue and then green, and I've separated it with, hopefully, if I did this right, all the buff spells are in the front, and the buff enchantments are in the front, and the utility enchantments are in the back by color. So our first one is Eel Umbra. It has Flash, which could be relevant, but enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and has totem armor. This can help with edict effects or other things if you don't have another creature on board. Hopefully you do. But you can cast your Bogle on 1, Eel Umbra on 2. He's protected against 1 destruction spell of any kind. An edict effect, well, I guess an edict effect is a sacrifice, so it doesn't help against that. Yep, It will protect him against combat damage, though. So it's just +1/+1 and totem armor. Let's move these guys over here. Our next one is evasion plus pumping. So it's arcane flight. An enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and it has flying. A lot of times we don't need to be unblockable. We just need to fly over. Then we have Tricks of the Trade. Enchanted creature gets +2/+0 and is unblockable. Easy way to get our commander through. Way of the Thief. We are running the gate in this deck, so enchanted creature gets +2/+2 and it's unblockable as long as you control a gate. So even if you don't control a gate, it's a +2/+2 buff, which isn't horrible. The unblockable if you control a gate is just gravy on top of this card. To go along with Arcane Flight, we have a similar thing here with Spectral Flight, except it's a blue and a colorless, but instead of +1/+1, we have +2/+2 in flying. We have Flight of Fancy. So this is another way to give ourselves evasion and card draw. So we went through a card draw suite. We have even more card draw. We got card draw in creatures. We got it in spells. Now we have it in our enchantments, and we have more coming. When it enters battlefield, draw 2 cards. Great. And then enchanted creature has flying. Absolutely wonderful. Makes us have our evasion and gives us card draw. We are running a very wonderful copy of Awesome Presence. This is all the way back to alliances. But simply stated, if your opponents don't hold up mana, then they're not going to be able to block your creature. So it really restricts what they can do. So I'll read it to you. Enchanted creature can't be blocked unless defending player pays an additional 3 mana for each creature assigned to block it. So they can chump block with a 1/1, but it's going to cost them 3 mana, and they have to hold that up and not cast anything on their turn. So it's a great threat card as well as ability to make our commander unblockable. Making our commander unblockable, hopefully, is Traveler's Cloak. When it comes into play, choose a land type. If we're playing a multiplayer game, hopefully they have a land type that's the same across the board. Enchanted creature has Landwalk of the Chosen Type. And an even bigger bonus is when it comes into play, draw a card. Here we go. I told you about the our big old beefy boy over here. The oh gosh, what's his name? The Floodtide Serpent. And how we had multiple enchantments that drew cards when they came into play. We can bounce these, replay them, draw more cards, card advantage, card advantage, card advantage. We have more drawing cards. Stratus Walk. When it enters battlefield, draw a card. Enchanted creature has flying, and enchanted creature can block only creatures with flying. Since we're an aggro deck, we don't care about that last section of it. We're not going to be blocking. If we are blocking, something's gone horribly wrong. We have Fate Foretold. This is really just card draw, so when Fate Foretold enters battlefield, draw a card, and when enchanted creature dies, draw a card. This is a great one to put onto the Sakura Tribuilder, because then you can sack them whenever you want to, and you get 2 cards out of the deal, plus a land. Into the green pump spells. This is where most of our pump is for our commander. That's what green does, is it makes big beefy boys and makes them bigger. So we have Serpent Skin. This one has flash, even though it doesn't say flash. That's what the text is. You can play Serpent Skin anytime you can play an instant, which is exactly what flash is. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1, and for a green mana, you can regenerate enchanted creature. This one is one that I absolutely love to put on a mana dork, because then they make the best blockers in the world. They block, then they tap, and they regenerate themselves, and one creature does it all. We have Feral Invocation, another one with flash. Enchanted creature gets +2/+2. And, of course, these are all auras. These enchant creatures are all auras, which makes our Gnarlid bigger. We have Oaken Forum. Enchanted creature gets +3/+3. Rines of the Vine Steed. Enchanted creature gets +2/+2. However, if for some reason this gets removed, or we played it early on a tri-builder because we couldn't get our commander out, or something like that, when the enchanted creature is put into the graveyard, you can return this from your graveyard to play attached to a creature that shares a creature type with it. We have quite a few wizards in here. We have elves in here. So we do have some creature synergies where we can get this back. I don't remember. The Bogle's a beast. We have some other beasts in here. So this is possible recursion. But it's +2/+2. That's where we're really at. We have Petrified Plating. It has Suspend for a green. So if you're hard casting it, it's 3. Enchanted creature gets +2/+2. However, you can suspend it for 1 for 2 turns, and then you get it for free after that. So I'm never going to suspend this. I have always hard cast this. It's the +2/+2 you're looking for. Then if we can't have our evasion, we can always trample over. Rancor, enchanted creature gets +2/+0 and has trample. If we do have evasion, it's just 2 more commander damage. And then, of course, when this is put in the graveyard, you can return it to your hand, so it just comes back over and over and over again. So it's great to put on chump blockers to make them a bigger threat. Then when they die, you just get it back. You can put it on your commander later. We have Feral Invocation, another one with flash. It's the same exact thing as... Oh, well, we have a problem in my deck tech already, and sometimes when I do these, I notice that, like when I did I have 2 copies of Feral Invocation in here, if you notice. I'm going to have to replace one. Same exact artwork. One's from M20. We'll dump the M20 one. So this is a 99 card deck tech at this point. I will find another card to put in here. We've already gone through Feral Invocation, so we'll just put it down here. Trollhide. Enchanted creature gets +2/+2, but it also has the ability to regenerate. Can't put it on a mana dork to have it regenerate itself, but for a green and a colorless, you can regenerate. Snake Umbra, another one that allows us to draw cards. Target creature gets +1/+1, and whenever it deals damage to an opponent, you can draw a card. Great to put on the Ledge Walker. Treetop Bracers, love this one. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and can't be blocked except by creatures with flying. So if you use this card, it doesn't matter whether your commander has flying or not. You're good to get through as long as they don't have flyers. We have Savage Silhouette. Again, another one that allows us to regenerate. The regeneration ones are in here just in case things go horribly wrong, and we can swing out with our commander, but we have to hold up blockers. We can put these on our other creatures for larger pod games and be able to have blockers that can just regenerate. So enchanted creature gets +2/+2 and has the ability to regenerate. Same exact thing as Trollhide. We have Elephant Guide. Enchanted creature gets +3/+3, which is great. We have a couple of +3/+3s in here. And then when it dies, you get a 3/3 elephant. Another good one to put on Sakura Tri-Builder. It makes him a 4/4 threat for blocking, and then when you sack your Elder after you block, if it's going to die, you get a 3/3 elephant to replace it. Great card. Otherwise, just throw it on your commander. 3 more commander damage. Moldervine Cloak. +3/+3 for 3. But you can dredge 2 to get it back if you have to. So another good one to put on one of your other creatures, not put on your commander if you are playing a longer drawn out game, and you can always get it back. And then we have we got 2 enchantment auras that go on our lands. And these are in here for card draw more than anything else. It's great to go with our 5 mana drop, return an enchantment to your hand. So this one is color fixing. Unbridled Growth. You can sacrifice it and draw a card after you play it. So after you fix your mana, you can do that. However, in the beginning, Enchanted Land has tapped, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. So it fixes you in the early game, and then it just gives you card draw in the later game. And then Abundant Growth. Both of these are for just a green mana. This one's better because when it ETBs, you draw a card. And it does the same exact thing, and Chain Land has 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. So we have a very large enchantment and aura pool, which makes sense along with our bestow pool and all of our ways to make our commander unblockable. People should go down fast. I think the fastest somebody has died to commander damage at Pauper level for me has been turn 4. So what does it take to make this deck run? Or what am I running to make this deck run? Of course, we're running Evolving Wilds and Terramorphic Expanse. Everybody knows what they do, and it just allows us to thin our deck and mana fix. We're running Simic Guildgate. This also goes with our enchantment that makes it if we play a guild gate. If we have a gate in play, then our commander's unblockable. It's just blue-green. We're running the Woodland Stream. It's still just blue-green and Thornwood Falls. The only difference between Simic Guildgate, Woodland Stream, and Thornwood Falls is when Thornwood Falls comes into play, you gain a life. They all come into play tapped. They're all great. We are running 2 cycling lands. This allows us early game to have lands, or later game just to cycle them away and have card draw. So we are running both Lonely Sandbar and Tranquil Thicket. We are running a new card from Throne of Eldraine. This is Mystic Sanctuary. It allows us to get back our, gosh dang it, Slip Through Space. It's right here. Or any one of our other card draw cards. So Mystic Sanctuary is extremely powerful. I'm surprised it's a common level. I'm pleasantly happy it is, because it means I got a lot of copies of it from my openings. But it enters the battlefield tapped unless you control 3 or more islands. So you have to wait a little later in the game, unless you're playing mono blue, which we're not, to get 3 islands in play. However, if it enters the battlefield untapped, which means you have 3 islands, and this does count as an island, so it says 3 or more other islands. So 3 islands plus this, it comes into play untapped, and then you can put an instant or sorcery card on top of your library. So this allows us to get back a Slip Through Space to finish the game off, which gives us card draw and unblockable, or any one of our card draw spells back here. We're running Survivor's Encampment. It's a colorless mana. It's also color fixing. So you can tap an untapped creature you control and add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. It doesn't come into play tapped, so it allows us to color fix with a Llanowar Elves and get blue if we need to early in the game. And then basics. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 fours basic. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 islands. That's what we're running in this deck. I hope you guys liked it. Again, I will have to come up with another card to put in here, because as we did this deck tech, we learned that every human is fallible, and no matter how many times you go over your EDH deck, you can find errors in it and ways to improve. Well, hopefully you don't find errors, but you can always find ways to improve. If you got any questions, then put it in the comments below. Like and subscribe. Really like to see those subscribers go up. And if you guys like these Pauper EDH, I don't see too many people on YouTube doing Pauper EDH. Give me a comment down below if you like to see them. I will be doing a Sir Conrad probably next month. If you guys really like these, then maybe I'll try to do a Pauper EDH deck tech once a month.